and move lower. But for me right now, there isn't really a decent entry on this as of yet. There haven't been some clear signs of reversal candles on our daily as of yet, as it's interacted with this potential resistance here. And our lower time frames as well are still very bullish, all showing higher highs, higher lows. There's no signs of definitive move lower as of yet. So yeah, bearish on this overall, but timing's not quite yet to short that. So the next one here is AUD-CHF. Again, some nice signs of bearishness, lower lows, lower highs. We've got our standard deviation around the price, showing it's in overbought area here. So we have got some reference for our stop loss. We've had some nice reversal candles there in the previous days. So stop loss above these types of high here would make sense. But again, problem with this is these lower time frames aren't really showing any definitive signs of bearishness in their most recent moves. This is quite bullish. This here is quite bullish. So what I would like to see is these lower time frames start to definitively break this support here, move much lower, and give lower lows and lower highs, allowing for a better entry. And that would allow us to enter with a stop above these types of areas here, and profit targets potentially going all the way down to these previous lows on the daily. But it's wait and see really to see if that opportunity arises. AUD, JPY, much the same story as that previous one I was looking at. Really, it's just encountering this previous resistance here, or previous support turned into resistance. Some, toppy type candles. So it's interacting with the upper edge of our standard deviation channel. But the problem is, at the moment, our lower time frames aren't really giving us that signs of bearishness. So some of them quite flat currently. So the hourly, the 15-minute, we'd want it to break at least this type of support here and move much lower, giving those lower lows, lower highs as a reference point to enter, with stops above these previous lower highs here. Profit targets, again, these types of lows would make sense, but we need to wait and see how that develops in the week to potentially enter that. So AUD-USD, much the same, as it's another AUD cross, hitting resistance in previous days. Clear signs of lower lows and lower highs in this move here. It's not as great in this one because it's not interacting with the upper edge of a standard deviation. That would be better, giving it more of a clearer overbought signal. But there's still reference here. It's still in this kind of upper half of the standard deviation. So it's still, we can still deem this as overbought. Just it's not as great as an entry. You can see it's interacting with these previous areas here where there was previous support. So these highs here, so support turned resistance, and that may go back further as well. Yeah, it's kind of zonal, but really the deal breaker is not real signs of lower lows and lower highs on our lower time frames as yet. So it's not really tradable as of yet until it starts, pushing lower, breaking support to show lower lows, lower highs. So next, this is CAD CHF. No, this isn't great price action to trade, so pass on that. So CAD JPY. Yeah, this is this is good signs of bearishness, lower lows, lower highs, standard deviation channel around the price. It's in an overbought area here. The lower time frames here have started to roll over much better than we were seeing on the AUD crosses. So we started to see these highs here start to get lower, and this significant area of support here has been breached. It's come down, so we can have some context to this potentially moving down in our standard deviation like this. But the deal breaker for me is what the 4 hourly is saying. It's still representing this retrace that we saw on the daily. So this move up here is still very bullish. So really what I would want to see is either a break of the standard deviation as it moves lower, so past this lower edge here, or at least to break this area of support, to pull back, giving a lower high, and then to move lower again, and then to pull back again. So that being the 4 hourly, that's going to take quite a while to happen. So that's probably something for later in this week, mid to later this week, to make that viable. But yeah, bullish on that overall, but for me the timing isn't quite right. So CHF JPY, similar story, bearish on this, lower lows, lower highs on the daily, overbought area on our standard deviation channel. Not as yeah, I'd leave this. Our hourly here is this just, there's probably better stuff out there. I wouldn't want to force the trade on this. I'd be bearish on this, but the time frames aren't correlating enough for me. So the time frames need to, as much as possible, be moving in the same direction, and they're not really doing that. So the thing that pops out for me at the moment is the hourly is still very, very bullish. We've got some context in our 4 hourly, but no, I would pass on this. Just look for better stuff. What's this? Euro AUD. So Euro AUD. So yeah, bullish on this. Higher highs, higher lows, standard deviation. It's an oversold area, which is good. We can assume that the price is going to find some value, move higher. So, you know, entering this stops below this level are the most logical place to have them. Trouble with this, again, our lower time frames aren't really showing those signs of bullishness as of yet. These are, you know, it's starting to potentially make higher highs here, in that the price has come down in this, if we do this here, so it's come down in this move, and is potentially, you know, going to potentially break through this previous resistance that we were seeing in these previous highs here and break out of our standard deviation channel. But it's all conjecture until that happens. We need to wait and see, really. But certainly to the long side of this, there's some decent potential. Stops below here, profit targets at least around these types of highs here, or even up here. But I'd want to see some definitive signs of bullishness on our lower time frames first of all, because yeah, these are all still quite bearish, and we're looking to go long on this, so not enough agreement. No, I'd leave that as well. And you can see it's just like shopping. I'm just shopping for the best setup. There are things that I might come back and have a, you know, short list and come back and have a look at. But if it doesn't make sense immediately in terms of what I see in a price action, then just pass on it. So in this instance, Euro CHF, some nice signs of bearishness, lower lows, lower highs. We can see that the price has interacted recently, in recent days, you know, 4 or 5 days, where it's had trouble moving past this level of resistance, which was previous support as well. Let's just see if that goes back much further. Yeah, we can see this is quite a significant technical level where it was interacting with these highs here previously. So this is quite a significant level, which gives us context for our stop above that type of area there. So that's good. The trouble at the moment is with our lower time frames. They're quite boxy. You can see that it's quite range bound at the moment. It's kind of coming up to hit resistance, fall away to support, so it's just bouncing within that range. So yeah, viably you could aggressively short this with a stop above this level. It still makes sense in terms of this being a very clear technical level. It's over bought in terms of our standard deviation as well, but the more conservative trade is for wait for the market to show its cards on these lower time frames, which would be a break of this support that we can see here that is quite significant as well. A break of that support, and I would suggest waiting for it to pull back as well, based on the standard deviation that we then have to the downside like this. But yeah, definitely looking for shorts on this, but timing for me isn't quite right. So for today, that would be a pass. Euro GBP, no, pass on that. Euro JPY, no, it's just incongruence with what I'd be looking for. So daily saying down, lower lows, lower highs. The 4 hourly is kind of this is the same move that we were seeing on the daily, and then this retrace is this move here, and this is quite bullish, as are our lower time frames. No, I'd want to see better signs of bearishness on our lower time frames before considering shorting this, so pass on that for today. No. This looks okay. Euro USD, nice signs of bearishness, lower lows, lower highs, fits neatly within the standard deviation channel with a reversal candle off of the standard deviation, which is also looks like some clear area of resistance in terms of being previous support. So it's support turned into resistance. We can see these previous highs here as well. See how far back that goes. Okay, so these lows here as well. So this is an important technical level in terms of the price, which gives us a reference point for a stop above that level. So it's really looking for bearishness on our lower time frames. Well, the thing that sticks out is this support that we've seen. We're seeing on, if we take it on the 15-minute here or the hourly. So this area here, which was previous resistance, comes support here. We see it on all the time frames. Obviously, it's just more contact points on the lower time frames than on the higher ones. So I'd be willing to short this, but I'd want to see it break this support first of all. So to move lower past here and then pull back, giving context to our standard deviation, moving down like this. And look to short based on reversals off of the upper standard deviation or average of a standard deviation channel, with a stop loss above, use the daily for context, above this candle above here. And that would mean that, 1-to-1 reward to risk would take you at least around these levels, but potentially these lows here are the kinds of areas that you can consider holding the position before closing it out or partially closing it out. So Euro USD, some decent shorts available. Hang on, my alerts are just going off. What's that on? NZD. Okay. So GBP AUD would be bearish on this, but no, not enough confirmation in our lower time frames to consider shorting this. They're quite messy, quite choppy. Bearish on this, but there's better stuff out there with better agreement. This isn't great time frame agreement, so pass. No, this is tricky to read. Yeah, not sure if it's yeah, this could, it's a bit of limbo at the moment. This retrace is quite significant. It's broken previous support as well, so this could just be a potential reversal rather than just a deeper retrace. Who knows? It's just not readable to make a decision around, so pass on that. Same thing with this one as the last one. So this is GBP JPY. I wouldn't really want to be trading that at the moment. Price action on this isn't great. Can't really read that. It's just very choppy. No definitive higher highs and higher lows. No, I mean bearish based on the daily, but none of the other time frames are really bearish. I mean the 5 it is, but it's too low. We'd want to see that bearishness appear on 4 hourly, 15 at least. And this isn't a reversal candle really, so it's, yeah, pass on that. Yeah, this looks better, much better. NZDCAD, be bearish on this. be looking to short this as well if I wasn't already in the NZDUSD, because they're very similar pairs. Wouldn't want to, you know, trade both of those because they move very similarly. But we'll break it down on this one first of all. You can see in this we've got lower lows, lower highs. Had some nice interaction here with the previous what we deem as the lower high in this downtrend. So this high here, which interacted with our standard deviation, also previous support as well. You can see supports turned resistance. These areas here were previous support. So this gives a reference point for the stop loss above that high, that previous high. And we've seen it move past the lows as well in the daily. So when we look to lower time frames, we can expect that we're going to see some more bearishness as well. What's been good on the 4 hourly was this price structure has been broken. So previously the standard deviation had context in this upward move here, right? So it's broken lower than the lower edge of that standard deviation. In fact, it gapped lower when market open. So we can see from that gap there. And so it's broken this previous higher low, which is good. And we've got context on our hourly as well with lower lows and lower highs. Standard deviation still makes sense as well. It's still interacting with the upper edge and lower edge nicely. So if I weren't already in NZDUSD, I'd be considering this. So stops above this level, 1-to-1s would take you to, you know, around about here. So viably there's 2-to-1s if you take profits up before this previous low as well. This is definitely the type of trade that I like and is my preference. So I'll talk about a bit more with my positioning on that on the NZDUSD when we get to it. But so let's look at NZDJPY. Decent signs of bearishness, but yeah, I mean there's decent signs of bearishness across the board. 4 hourly could be a bit better, but it's much the same that we were seeing on the previous NZDCAD, just slightly different. And I would prefer NZDCAD or NZDUSD over this one, but it's giving much the same price action. But I would pass on that just because there's better stuff in the market. And this is the one that I'm currently in, NZDUSD. Opened this on Friday with a position. This is the first position. This is the second one that I opened here as well. And you can see that I'm looking to, or I have scaled into this. So these are the type of positions that I am willing to risk up to my full 3% of risk on, because of the opportunity and the timing of the trade. So in this trade, I've got my stop loss above what I'm deeming as a lower high. So there's a clear reference point for where I'm going to be wrong. If the price starts to make higher highs, I'll be out on the market. So this is a good place for the stop loss, firstly. Secondly, having waited for the price to pull back in this way, the profit potential is at an optimum, in my opinion, because it means that the next move that I'm anticipating, if you know the price action is to stay true, is the price moves down, extends, and then pulls back. So having waited for it to pull back to this level and deemed it to be overbought, it means that the next move that we're anticipating is this extension down like this. So entering up here, I've got the most potential for it to reach those type of levels, rather than, let's say I'd shorted at an area around here, I'd be selling into that support, and the price hasn't got as much to go. As it approaches this previous low, there's a good chance that it's going to find support and bounce and move higher again, or it could break. But by kind of entering where I have now, I give myself a lot more flexibility to manage that, to manage those profits. I've got more options. So for me, waiting on this pullback is the most optimum time to trade, and this is where I'm happy to risk, to my upper risk tolerance. So 3% overall. I'd be happy to put into this. I've got about 1.5% on this at the moment. No, it's 2%. Yeah, it's about 2% on this at the moment. So if there's opportunity to add to this further, I will do that. And you can see just how I've entered this. So this was my initial one here, and I entered this one based on what the hourly was saying. So if we look at the standard deviation, this is what I talk about when I say that I want the price to break support. So this was a clear area of support. It had broken that and it had pulled back and found resistance off of our standard deviation with this reversal type candle here and moved past the low of that. So this is exactly what I mean. If you look back at some of the other ones I was saying I wanted it to break support, this is what I'm looking for. So it breaks support, pulls back, gives a reversal off of the standard deviation, and then moves past the low of that, giving me my entry signal. So my stops above these levels here. Just see how this pans out, and I will update you with that as time goes on later in the week. So what else have we got? Let's just have a look at the last ones here. USD CAD, no. USD Swissy, will be thinking short on this in terms of the daily, but our 4 hourly is very bullish at the moment, capturing this move here, this retrace. Yeah, too difficult to read for me at the moment. It's not enough congruence with the time frame, so I'd pass on that. And USD JPY, well, obviously short based on the daily. These lower lows, lower highs, prices overbought area. Ooh. Some nice signs of bearishness on these lower time frames, or at least the beginnings of it. The 4 hourly isn't, I mean, obviously we've got the same move captured here that we've got in the daily. Definitely this area of support is of concern because it's previous resistance as well. We've seen it interact twice with it. So a more conservative trade is waiting for that to be broken, so to move past the low of that. But this 4 hourly here as well, this move here, again, because there's other stuff in the market, I wouldn't really be like too involved in thinking about how to eke a trade out of this. There's just other easier stuff out there, so I would pass on this. And that's it for today. Yeah, so all right, hope that's been of use. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more just like this every weekday, and I will see you again tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.